Before the start of the Vietnam team's first game, the casters said Vietnam was likely the weakest team in the whole KESPA Cup tournament. 40 minutes later, however, the team was on the T1 Nexus, taking down two members of the World Championship team. In today's video, we're going to look at what went wrong for T1, how did they lose what was considered by far their easiest match, and discuss whether or not the Vietnam team just got lucky. As always, if you're enjoying the videos, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get into it. Okay, so we're going to answer that first question of what went wrong for T1. And we're going to look at one of the many early skirmishes which didn't go in favor of the T1 team. And the skirmish we're going to look at is over these first void grubs. Now actually, before this skirmish even begins and before the Vietnam team arrives, T1 has already killed two of the void grubs. So if there's going to be a contest over this objective, it's going to be because T1 wants to take this fight. Because now T1 has already gotten most of the objective, they could just leave if they want to because the Vietnam team is really late. Now the second thing about this contest is that T1 has a numbers advantage at the start of the fight. Because Corky, if we see on the minimap, is still in top lane. And so he's going to have to make his way down the river, where for T1, they've already got four members very close to each other, and therefore they have the positioning advantage at the start of this fight. And we'll see T1 recognizing that, and then looking to start off the fight. And we'll see Nautilus is going to use his hook to try and engage on the Vietnamese support Taki. But this hook is going to miss. So now T1 doesn't have an easy way of engaging the fight, and we'll see the members of T1 actually just moving backwards and kiting out a little bit. But T1 really wants this fight, and so we'll see Poby going in, using his movement spells and his ultimate to engage onto Taki. Now, at first glance, this actually looks really good for T1, because they've already got a numbers advantage over the fight. Taki is almost dead. Corky is still nowhere near this fight. He's ages away. And so it looks like T1 is just a member up off the start of the fight. But actually this is a bit deceptive, because Puddin is still alive, and he's going to be able to dish a lot of damage down onto Poby, because Poby doesn't have any movement spells left available. And also he's used his combo as well. And also, crucially, Puddin is hit level 6 too. So he's going to be able to use his CC ultimate onto Poby. And so from here, we can see that Puddin is going to almost do almost all of Poby's health bar himself. The other members of T1 are also not in a position where they can support Poby yet as well. Because if they try and follow up, it's going to take a little bit of time before they can be threatening on the Vietnam ADC. Okay. Continuing forwards, we're going to see one more thing from the T1 Team 2, which is focusing on the support of Cloud, where Gumayusi and Ona are going to move down to try and threaten Pudding and support Poby. But Cloud has split with them, and he's gone upwards. He's trying to CC Lilia, and he's trying to, I guess, buy time to stop Lilia from coming down. And he can buy a little bit with his auto, a little bit of CC, but his hook is down, and he doesn't really have a way to stop Lilia from coming into the fight. Lilia still has the flash up as well. So by moving up, he just creates more and more space between him and the other members of the T1 team. And so we'll see the fight ending off with Puddin and Drakthar killing Poby, and we'll see Gumayusi's going to have to flash out as well. And at the end of the fight, because of that spacing with Nautilus is just going to get cleaned up by the members of the Vietnam team, and the other members of T1 are not going to be able to support him at all. So two key mistakes from T1 on this fight. The first one, they use far too many cooldowns for a non-essential member of the Vietnam team. Taki is just a level 3 support, and they use the Nautilus Q and Azir's full combo to kill him. This is far too many cooldowns for a member that doesn't matter that much. The second thing is Cloud needs to make sure that he positions himself with the other members of the T1 team. He can't walk away from them. He needs to make sure that he's paying attention to where they are, what they're hitting, and then move with his teammates. Okay, let's move on to the second point. although the early game skirmishing from T1 is going to stop them from getting ahead, it's not going to be the reason that they lose the game. Because as we can see at 20 minutes into the game, T1 is actually still pretty even in this game with the Vietnam team. And now I'm going to actually draw some attention to something really cool from the T1 support cloud. Some very cool macro. So we'll see a ward being placed from the T1 support. And before this, if we look at the minimap, we can see a lot of vision being placed on that topside river from the T1 support. And now, when the T1 support has run out of wards, he's channeling his base because he wants to place his vision and then come out of base immediately with a new set of wards while his wards are still alive. Now, what this is going to do is we'll see that Cloud is going to base, but the Vietnam team support Taki is going to walk in and try to get some vision down over the Baron. But now Cloud is already walking out of base with a full new set of wards. And Taki now gets put in a really difficult position. Because if Taki stays on the map, then he's only got 2 wards left in his inventory, where the support for T1 Cloud still has 6. And so he's going to be able to have a huge advantage in vision control over Taki. But if Taki bases, then he's going to open up T1 to getting in some deep vision and creating a lot of pressure against his team. And we'll see that Taki is going to opt to take a base, and he'll base now as the T1 support is coming back out onto the map. And this is going to expose a gap for the T1 jungle and support to get in and place some deep vision. Now, this deep vision creates a pin for the Vietnam team. So we can see mid lane is pushed in, and then if we look at the minimap, we can also see that top lane is pushed in, and just to make matters worse, the T1 top laner is getting pushed in bottom lane too. And this pretty much pins the Vietnam team across the map. And it's really, really difficult for the Vietnam team to play because the T1 team can disappear off their vision, they can take more bases, come out with more tempo, create more pressure, or also if the Vietnam team makes a mistake and their jungle support shows somewhere that they're not allowed to show, or maybe the top laner from T1 can look for a 1v1, there's a lot of like different moving parts, and it's really difficult for the Vietnam team to see what's going on. But actually, this should win T1 the game. If they play patient and look for that opening, then they should be able to win the game off of this. We'll see the top laner creating a lot of pressure from T1, and we see between top and mid a ton of pressure between Cloud, Ona, and the other members of the T1 team. But this isn't going to result in the game win because of a mistake from T1, which is going to happen in about a minute. So we'll see the Vietnam team just staying in the middle of the map and grouping because they don't have a lot of control and they're very worried about the T1 team doing the Baron. And we'll see T1 just grouping up, making sure they push in these mid waves and just making sure that the Vietnam team stays pinned, even using that Azir tower to buy time, allow them to walk back in, retake the vision, and just make a lot of pressure. And again, we'll see T1 team walking back into mid and just really trying their best, just put so much pressure down onto the Vietnam team. But this is where we're going to see that mistake come in from the T1 team, where Cloud is going to stay over positioned. The next mid wave is coming in, and there isn't actually enough support from the other members of T1, and he's going to try and take that aggressive path. But he's going to be caught out, and we'll see now that Vietnam's going to be able to pick up a kill, and it's going to put an end to this sequence. Now, Vietnam's actually going to overchase, and this is going to give T1 the Baron, but that is a mistake from the Vietnam team. But I just think it's something to note where the Vietnam team just manages to find a situation where the T1 support is overstepped, and in spite of all that really cool macro, the double base from the T1 support, which is actually very good play, he just makes a mistake which costs it all. Okay, and let's move on to the final part of this video. So this is where we're going to see the game-winning play from the Vietnam team. So for context, Nidalee has just shown on the bottom side of the map on a ward where that dragon has spawned, and Poby, the mid laner from T1, has been spotted pushing that bot lane out, although he does have his teleport available to get up to the top side of the map. But the Vietnam team recognizes that this late into the game, they do a lot of damage to the Baron, and so they can create a lot of pressure around this Baron very, very quickly. And that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to start this Baron up now, and they're going to start doing it very quickly, which means Nidalee and Poby are going to have to TP in, but by the time they get to this Baron, the Baron is already very, very low HP. And so this Baron opportunity has been opened from the jungle and the mid laner of T1, but it's still not the end of the world. Vietnam can get the Baron, but if T1 plays this smartly and slowly, there should still be an opportunity for them to pick up some kills or at least retake a lot of the territory on the map, which would stop Vietnam from using this Baron effectively. But we'll see again from T1, the members of the team jumping the gun. So we'll see Cloud engaging and using his ultimate and his Q, but when he's using that ultimate and Q, there isn't really any damage being done from the T1 team. So Gumayusi and Poby are both going to be able to hit Pun, the top laner, from the Vietnam team, but nobody is really there to follow up from T1, and so Cloud has just used his spells for no reason. And so Cloud should have looked to play with a lot more patience at the start of this fight. Now, Cloud can just look to kite himself out. He'll probably get killed, but he can look to kite himself out and at least buy his team some positioning. But we'll see as Cloud is walking himself out, at the exact same time, Heyte goes in as well. And there's definitely no follow-up coming in on this one too. And so now Heyte himself has put himself in a 1v4, I guess probably to try and save Cloud too. Again, all this time, the members of T1 are just putting damage into the top laner, the Scion, the tank, the person who wants that damage from the Vietnam team anyways. And so continuing forwards, we can see now Cloud almost losing his full health bar, but Heyte dying, Cloud dying now. And although the members of T1 are going to be able to pick up Pun, we can see already 2 people have died from the Vietnam team. And there's a dead Scion chasing Gumayusi as well. And we'll see Nidalee and Azir getting picked up on the back end of the fight. And finally Drakthar will pick up Ashe as well. So 2 things in this fight. The mid laner and the jungle from T1 creating an opportunity for the Vietnam team to exploit, which the Vietnam team does really well. And the second thing is that although the Baron is going to be lost to the Vietnam team, Cloud and Heyte need to remain patient. They need to keep their formation as a team, and they need to not go in too quickly and panic when something bad happens in the game. In spite of the poor scorelines from some of the T1 rookies and the loss, there was still a lot of promise in the game, and some good macro almost allowed the T1 team to get the win. For the Vietnamese team, ultimately, they may not have had the best macro, but when somebody was caught out, they went in for the kill. When there was a mistake from T1, the Vietnamese team all very quickly trusted each other and attacked that mistake. And so it wasn't luck, but it was just that raw aggression when seeing something, seeing an opportunity, which allowed the Vietnamese team to win the game. And the T1 players with less experience may not have been prepared for that aggression, may not have been used to players punishing them so much when they make those mistakes. Okay, thanks so much for watching the video. If you're interested in seeing more content, I do have a Patreon, which you can find in the description. And also, if you've been enjoying the videos, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks again for watching.